Good to see you. Okay, so what we are going to be talking about today is we're going to be asking me anything. And so I want to make sure that if you guys have questions, you're going to be asking me whatever you want. I've got a bunch of questions to go through. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Today, we are going into questions that have been given to me, typically in my Facebook group. So I am going to just start. And I want you guys to put questions in the chat for me. Let me know if you have anything going on that you're interested in knowing about. So this is something actually from my Facebook group that I wanted just to talk about. So you can see this picture. My house flooded several months ago and I'm trying to remodel, then try to sell it. It's a large house with a small kitchen. The realtor and interior designer said that I should paint everything a lighter color to make it appear larger. The contractor says that it will be less expensive to replace the upper cabinets than to paint them. What are your thoughts? It was built in 1994 and they are solid wood. So this one actually got a lot of comments in our Facebook group. And when I look at this kitchen and I hear that an agent has said just to paint cabinets, I always like to kind of take a step back and really go into it a little bit and understand more of the whole situation rather than just, this should we replace or paint those cabinets. Now, when I'm looking at this kitchen, it looks pretty small, right? It's got the older tile, it's got an older style, and it's got that older light, and the refrigerator is old, like old. It's white and it sticks out a bit. So I'm going to say like this kitchen needs to probably be completely redone. And so when you look at a kitchen like this, and you say, should I paint or replace the cabinets? There's more to it than this. And my goal for you guys is to make sure that you are not spending too much money when you're thinking about selling your home. So actually in this one, I would recommend not doing anything with. And so I don't like agents who just make suggestions that they should paint something or spend money when it's not really going to get a return. Of course, yeah, it'll look better. And if you wanted to do it for yourself, then do it for yourself. But I wanted to kind of show this because there's so much more when somebody says, should I do something? And there's just so much more to it. So I wanted just to kind of get into that with the first thing. And you guys know I don't know, maybe you guys don't know. I don't know. Do we have new people here? New people here, old people here? Who's downloaded my seller's playbook? Let me know. That'd be great. This is in my seller's playbook, and I'm going to give you the link in a few minutes. But one thing, when somebody asks me a question and says, should I do something? It's hard to say, because you don't know the condition of the home. You don't know the condition of the windows, the roof, or the mechanicals. You don't know how old, the kitchen is. You don't know if there's a reason somebody wouldn't buy the house. And so in my seller's playbook, I have this quiz in there. And this quiz, once you answer this, shows you what kind of condition your home is in. So when I'm looking at a house like this, before I can answer that, I need to understand what kind of condition the home is in. Does it need a lot of work? And so when you go into this, you're going to see there's a lot of things in here like the mechanicals, the furnace, the AC, the windows, things like that, the bathrooms. And so by filling all this out, if you get like, everything is 20 years plus and older, that's going to be a different answer than if every single thing in the house is new. Like if every single thing in the house is new and this kitchen is the only thing that needs to be redone, that's going to be a different answer than if everything's super, super old. So I want to make sure that you guys are downloading my seller's playbook and joining my Facebook group. Now, if you are not on a TV or a computer, maybe you're on your phone, if you go into the description, you're going to have these links down below. Okay. And you can go ahead and click on them. They're all free. Everything's free. And our Facebook group, I think you guys, who's in our Facebook group? If you guys are on here, we're almost at 5,000 people, which is pretty exciting. So you can go ahead and click on the links below, use the QR code here. So let me see here. Let me fix this. Hold on. There we are. That's better. Okay, I'm going to answer a couple questions from Gina, and then we're going to kind of go into it a little bit further on the answers on the on the quiz that I have. So Gina says, if you can afford some money, the bikes kitchens are beautiful, are quite reasonable if you're able to do them yourself. Bikes. I'm not sure what that is. IKEA, maybe? I don't know. If you can afford a few $1,000s, IKEA kitchens are lovely, especially if you're able to do them yourself. Yes, that's actually very, very true. Now, the quality, some people can tell. So it really, you have to understand what kind of, you have to know if you're a higher end home, they might not like the IKEA, but if you can handle putting them together, that is an option. That's definitely an option. So Sam said, I have read a lot of sellers have replaced their HVAC system and water heater. We always have maintained ours, but the AC unit and furnace are 23 years old, but function flawlessly. Replace before selling. No, I would not replace those before selling. And the reason why is because they're working. And so when you're filling out your disclosures, you fill them out to say, yes, they're working. Those types of replacements, the HVAC, the furnace, the air, things like that, are not going to get you a dollars for dollar return. Now, it might help your house sell. So let's say your kitchen is, old and everything else is old. Everything needs to be done in the whole house. You definitely don't want to replace them. But let's say you have things that are all redone and you really take care of your house. You might want to for you. I do not recommend doing that right before you sell. Now, if your furnace and AC are older, you could purchase a home warranty for the buyers when they go to buy the house. Now, we'll talk about home warranties. I don't think they're always great. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. Home warranties are like an insurance policy. So if your furnace or air is older, I mean, I've seen like 30 years old, you can say they work just fine. We have them serviced every year. And then you can say, we'll give you a home warranty policy. And that kind of does help. And I do think actually we just had somebody whose AC wasn't working and the sellers had bought a home warranty policy and they used that to replace their AC. So, okay, let me scroll down a little bit more. I want to go into actually what the different categories are. So, you know how I said this. So this quiz is going to give you one of 5 categories, okay? Remember, this is in the seller's playbook. And so it's going to give you one of 5 categories because you need to understand what category your home is so you can understand what you need to do. Because the should I question, should I paint, is going to be different for a house that's a complete gut versus a house that just needs minimal work. So these are the 5 categories that you could be in, which is restoration required. Now, restoration required is kind of like the lowest level. And this means you really need to replace everything. Like everything's old. It's really a full gut. Like almost, I would say nobody can live in this type of home. The next category is concealable condition. And concealable condition is, it's old. Like a lot of things are really old, but you could live there. Like it's just super dated and your mechanicals might be old, but you could live there. Now, if you have a concealable condition home and you're thinking about selling, you may be thinking, and this is a huge question I get all the time. You may be thinking, oh my gosh, I have to replace everything. I got to do my roof. I've got to do my mechanicals. I've got to redo the kitchen. You don't have to redo your house in order to sell. Okay. Because sometimes the risk reward is not going to be there. You're not going to get as much out for your house. And so, a concealable condition, that's the one category that I see a lot of people who are in who think they need to do everything. And this category, you're not actually going to be spending much money in this category. You're just going to make it look somewhat better and you're going to fix anything that's broken. Okay, so the surface shine. This is a category that can kind of go either way. So you usually will have like half mechanicals are done and maybe a couple things are updated, or everything is updated, but all the mechanicals are bad, like old windows, old air, old furnace, but the kitchen's been redone. So this is the area where, I really encourage you to fix those mechanicals or those older things that might be broken. Every single category, if you have something broken or deferred maintenance, you have to fix them before you sell, no question. Unpolished potential, as you guys know, is my favorite. This is like a clean base for a buyer. It may be dated, but it's in good condition. So it means the furnace is newer, the air is newer, the roof is in great shape. This is a home that's usually really, really well taken care of. People value their homes, but it might be dated. Now, I get a lot of these people coming to me saying, we have to redo our kitchen or our bathroom, and you don't always have to redo it because things that are clean are going to be great. Like that's what people are looking for. And then finally, you have modern move-in. So modern move-in is where everything is done. The furnace, the air, the roof, the windows, looks great, looks trendy. It's got great furniture. This category is most likely people who sell in this category. There's a good chance they're not going to get the money out that they put into the house when they bought it. Most likely, because these are people who really, really care for their homes and they want to live like that. So based on these categories, based upon what I just taught you, do you guys know what categories you are in? If you know what you're in, put them in there. And I'm going to answer another question here. So Sam says we have 2 kitchen countertop materials, porcelain tile and a granite island, which gives us 2 capabilities. Should we replace to match before selling? So that is a great question. So Sam, based upon what I just said here, and let me actually show that. So based upon what I said here, which category is your home? That's really what I need to understand is which category is your home. Because if you are in a concealable condition, that's different than if you are in a restoration or in a unpolished potential. So show me which one it is, and we can kind of go on and talk a little bit more about that. Let me know which one you are. You can guess too. You can guess, okay? You don't have to know for sure. Remember, this is not scientific. Okay, this is not scientific. And for those of you who are all stressed out about this, it's not scientific. It's a range, okay? So let me see. Oh, okay. So Sam says he's in modern move-in. So if you're in modern move-in, you have 2 kitchen countertop materials, porcelain tile, and a granite island, which gives us 2 capabilities. Should we replace to match before selling? Probably you don't need to. I'm going to say you probably don't need to because that's not going to be a reason somebody is not going to buy the home. Is the kitchen newer? Does it look good? Is it in great condition? I'm going to say probably not. And I will tell you, one of my least favorite updates before you sell is replacing countertops. That's not one of my biggest things at all. So I'm going to say no. Now, I could be wrong. If you're in my Facebook group, go ahead and post that picture in there and I can give you a little more information. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to give you this one. This is from our Facebook group too. And these are the cabinets I have. My husband, the cook, has refused to replace them for 25 years. He loves them, so I let it go. The rest of the house is fresh and modern with a new roof, siding, decks, and driveway. Even painted, the cabinets would still look bad and turn off buyers. I don't want to spend a fortune redoing the kitchen, but I'm considering an IKEA upgrade so the cabinets don't become the reason my home sits. My realtor says paint is enough. I disagree. My comment in there was, if your agent said to paint those cabinets, I hope that's not an agent I referred, because those cabinets are like true 80s cabinets, right? Those are true 80s cabinets. You cannot fake those. You cannot fake those cabinets at all. So I would say no. Now, redoing a kitchen can be very expensive. If everything else is redone and then you redo your kitchen, let's say you spend on an IKEA kitchen. I don't know what they are right now, maybe $30,000. I don't know. I don't know if you're getting new appliances or what. And then you decide you're going to raise your price. Well, somebody may come in. Let's say you're doing an IKEA kitchen and then you've got not stainless steel appliances. Somebody's going to come in and say, this kitchen still needs to be redone, and they're not going to pay you what the home is really worth for having to redo the kitchen because you're going to say you have a new kitchen. Does that make sense? So, you don't necessarily want to put in the money on something cheaper. Now, it depends on the price point of your home. If it's a higher end home, people are not probably going to like the IKEA cabinets. The other question is, in this type of a setup, let's say that you could bump the kitchen out into another room and make the kitchen bigger, and you redo the kitchen just in a very, very small area, right? Like then they're coming in and they're saying, oh, I wish this kitchen was bigger. oh, you know what? We'd have to redo the whole kitchen. And so they're thinking they're paying a premium because you've updated the kitchen. So I don't know if I necessarily recommend redoing the kitchen to move. Now, the real answer is if you're doing it for yourself, then do what you want. Like if that's what you want to do, then do it for yourself. And no, you may not get it all out when you sell. Okay. All right. When we're selling a well-maintained older home, should we really stress over paint colors, bath products in the shower, and dishpan in the sink during showings, garage floor stains, etc.? The details like this are consuming me. Oh, so no. So this, I'm going to guess you are in my unpolished potential because everything's in great condition. It's probably cleaner. It's ready to go. You've lived like this. You take care of your house, but it's just somewhat dated. I'm going to say no. Now, many people, honestly, they do stress out about this all the time. So, I don't want you guys to stress out as much as you may think you need to stress out because the goal is, of course, to sell for the most amount of money, but the goal is also to sell stress-free. So your money and your stress are kind of weighted against each other. So kind of the more money you put in, the more stress you're probably going to have. So also the more money you want for the house, the more stress you're going to have. So if you just price your house a little bit lower, none of it matters. I said this a million times, right? If you list your house for $1, will somebody buy it if your paint isn't right, if your kitchen needs to be redone, all of that? Yes, they will. So you just need to be thinking about that. It's all about the price. And so if you don't want to or need to maximize, and it's not, might be a risk putting that money in, or you don't have the money, you just need to price it for what the market is going to bear. Okay. You guys have any questions for me? Any thoughts? I'm doing, just to let you guys know, I'm doing I'm taking my playbook, I'm writing it into a full book. Yes, I am. It's going to be out May 5th of next year. I know I'm putting that out to the world. May 5th of next year, how to sell your home fast for more money, stress-free. And it's going to be kind of a culmination of all the books or all the videos that I've done and really, really laying it out there. So I've been really focused and working on that a lot. So just letting you guys know. Okay. So here's a long one. So we've been trying to sell our home for almost 2 years. It's in a convenient location, 2 houses from the interstate, easy access to both downtown and the suburbs. The neighboring lot was recently cleared, but the grass isn't always maintained. The yard is small. We have a large carport, garage off the alley, great square footage for the area. The home was renovated in 2020, new floors, updated kitchen, master bath, and we made some cosmetic updates, painting the shutters, and several open houses are now looking for affordable ways to boost appeal. So, for me, reading this question right here, my spidey senses went up for a couple reasons. And the one is that it's been on the market for 2 years. Now, when somebody reaches out to me and asks me about their house, and they say our home has been on the market a long time, I can automatically say, without even looking at a picture, without looking at a comp, then your price is too high. Now, that's the easy answer. Okay, that is the easy answer for what's going on. Now, does that mean maybe you're not updated, or maybe you're in a bad location, or maybe, I don't know, there's something wrong with the house? Right. Yes. So the price is too high. Right. All objections can be overcome by price. I just want you to think about that for a second. All objections can be overcome by price. So when you hear the house is too small, well, if the house were priced $50,000 less, would the house be too small? No, you're going to get different buyers who are paying less money for a home that might have smaller space. So right out of the gate, I know the home is priced too high for the market. Now, the home may not have been priced too high when it went on the market, but so here's the thing. As you guys know, I have 2 things that I talk about: your appraised value and your market value. Appraised value is the amount that your house is worth on paper. And when this house went on the market, it might have been correct for that market, right? But let's say the market's going down. it may not be correct anymore. And so that's what the market value is. The market value is what somebody is willing to pay for the house. So you have to look at what your appraised value is, and you have to look at what your market value is. And they may be two totally different numbers. So I'm going to guess on this house, the appraised value is higher, but the market is probably going down. So now if that's your situation and you're trying to sell, I'm going to ask you two questions. One is going to be, what if? Okay. What if you can't sell it for the price that you want to sell it for? What if? I want you to really think about it. What if you can't sell it for that price? Because a home is worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it. So what if no buyers are willing to pay you what you want? And you say, what now? What now? What are you going to do now? Like, what will you do? Will you rent it? Will you reduce the price? Will you take it off the market? What now? What are you going to do? And those are questions I always want you to go in thinking, is that, you pick a price that you want to sell for. And what if it doesn't sell for that price? Okay. I just need you to put that out there so so you have a contingency plan. Maybe you take it off the market, but you always need to ask yourself that. Okay. So let me answer a couple questions here. Let's see here. Okay. How often are there pressure showings? This house is getting a ton of attention. We can get you in to see the house this afternoon. Oh, and there may be a few offers coming in. Are you familiar with this kind of selling strategy? Yeah, I am. So that's actually a great question. I love that question. How often are there pressure showings? So it depends on your market. Are you in a seller's market? Are you in a buyer's market? Is the home priced lower than market value? Is the home priced higher? Does it need a lot of work? Is it in a great location? Does it have something special that no other homes have? So, I will tell you, all in all, agents usually are I'd say pretty honest about this, okay? Like, if you are working with a buyer's agent and your buyer's agent says, we need to get in right away, I would believe that buyer's agent. Um, you know, I would. And the reason why is because, and I always say this, is if you're a buyer, all right, most buyers have to lose a house before they understand the significance of what their agent is saying, because like you, many people don't believe their agent. They don't believe that they're telling the truth. They think, oh, they just want a sale. But what usually will happen is, like, the buyer's agents will say something like, we need to get in right away. This is a hot house, or this is a great price on this house. You really need to offer list price, something like that. Or we really need to submit right now. And what will happen is the buyers won't believe their agent, and they'll be like, well, you know what? I think we're going to wait. And then they lose the house. And so what I usually say is, buyers usually need to lose a house in order to write the correct offer next time. I hate to say it, but it's true. Most buyers will lose a house, especially in a hot market. So if you're, and I think I'm getting the situation correctly. If your buyer's agent is saying that to you, there's a good chance this is true. The listing agent, if you call the listing agent and says you need to get in right away, that's why you need a buyer's agent. So the listing agent might just say something like, well, we just went on the market, so we've had a lot of interest, right? That's their job. I mean, their job is to tell you that because they are representing the seller. But the buyer's agent, if it's your agent and he or she says that, I would take that as a real point. So did I answer that question? I hope I did. Okay. How important is landscaping? I've got lots of grass and gravel, boring but easily maintained, planning to move in 2+ years. Is it worth doing some planting now to make the garden more interesting? So Keith, this is actually a great question. And this is something that I do address in my playbook, because landscaping is one of the worst returns that you can get to put into your house. Now, great landscaping will help your home sell, but you will not get out dollar for dollar if you're only doing it for 2 years. Like, if you want to do it for yourself, do it for yourself. And this is something that we did in our house. We had terrible landscaping. I mean, it was horrible. And then one day I just told the landscapers, take everything out. And I made them remove every single bush. So then it looked even worse. And then I was like, okay, we really, really need to spend the money to fix this. And we did. And we put quite a bit of money in that. Now, did we get that out when we sold? No. Did it help get the house sold? Yeah. But we were like a modern move-in house. So we did that for ourselves. So if you've got a lot of grass and gravel and it's very clean, I wouldn't necessarily do anything except if you can spend, maybe it's something that you will enjoy for yourself, maybe $5,000, $10,000 that you enjoy for yourself, then maybe, but that is not, I would not break the bank on landscaping. Okay. So Sam, that helped. Good. I'm glad that helped. And bingo on that lingo. Oh, and that's cute. So I was correct on that. You're working with a buyer's agent who says that. So if it's your buyer's agent that's saying that, you need to go. Like, listen, do you think a buyer's agent wants to leave his or her kids at home in the middle of an afternoon on a Sunday? No. As agents, we want to go when it's convenient for us. So if we say, listen, we really need to go, we need to go and see it. All right. We're going to get into a few more here. All right. Should I be concerned that the realtor has not represented a seller in over 5 years? I know there's value in representing buyers as they are in their heads, but wondering, is it a red flag? And can we be certain that the data on Zillow is accurate regarding this information? And okay. So I believe that sellers, agents in general, if you're looking for a solid agent, you really want somebody that sold about 150 homes in the last 5 years. Could be a little more, could be a little less, depending on the price point. If you're at a very low price point, it's probably going to be more. If you're at a high price point, it might be less. Now, so that comes out to about 30 homes a year. Now, and that can be high in some areas, but 30 homes a year gives your agent a real feel on the market. Okay. Like when I put a house on the market as a listing agent, I can feel when, I can feel the market. So I can feel, are we getting a lot of showings? Are we getting a lot of interest? Are we getting a lot of views? Are agents reaching out to me? Like, so I can feel the market. So let's say I put a house on the market and I get literally nothing, right? Nothing. I can feel that the market is not as hot as it used to be. So that's what we're going through right now in the North Shore of Chicago. So I sell in North Shore of Chicago and I sell in St. Augustine, Florida, and the Jacksonville area. And so in the two different areas, there are two different feelings a little bit. But like in the Chicagoland area, I mean, homes were going like 200,000 over list, 100,000 over list. Since I'd say the last month or so, last month and a half, we've just had a little bit less of showings. It just hasn't been as hot. Okay. So I'm feeling the market going down a little bit. So an agent who is not selling a lot of homes, listing, an agent who is not listing a lot of homes doesn't have that feel for the market. Now, buyers agents who are selling that many homes, that's a lot of work, like, 30 buyers a month. And I mean, that's a good agent, but that's a lot of work for that buyer's agent. And they're usually like, all right, let's go see this house. Let's go see this house. They're not focused necessarily on the listing process, the marketing of a home. So I would say I would be concerned. I would be. That would not be somebody I would refer, but okay. And then the second question, can we be certain that the data on Zillow is accurate regarding this information? No. So everything you see online, take with a grain of salt. Okay. I mean, truly, truly, truly. So I referred 3 agents to this woman, and I thought great agents. Like I went really deep inside her market, and I found 3 what I thought were really, really good agents. I checked out their Instagram profiles. I checked out all their Zillow, their homes.com, and looked at their website, looked at their listing pictures. And I felt like I had 3 really good agents for her very, very small subdivision. And I sent them to her. And she said that one of them had a bad review on, you know, on something. And I was like, one bad review. I know you guys think like, you'd like to use me sometimes to sell your homes, but I don't have, knock on wood, don't have bad reviews, but I have had a lot of people who have not always been happy. Now, I'm not going to say a lot. I have had people who have not been happy with me. Now, that can be for a variety of reasons. It could be maybe I screwed up. Maybe I did. Maybe I don't know, I didn't give them the attention that they wanted, or maybe they were just crazy, so there's a lot of reasons why somebody might put a negative review. But the reality is that I think that shows that, they're human, because a negative review shows that they're not paying for their reviews. Right. So I kind of was like, well, I still would interview the agent. And she was like, no, I'm not going to. I was like, okay. And there was another reason why she didn't want to interview the other agent. And I kind of felt like because she had dug in really, really deep on her research online, but I didn't feel like the things that she was finding could overcome the significance and the experience that these agents had. And I felt like it deserved a conversation. So, are the websites accurate? No, they're not. Are they more accurate than not accurate? Yeah. So when you go to Zillow and it says this person has sold 650 homes, yeah, that's true. But sometimes if you go and you see that they've only sold like 2 homes, I would make sure that that Zillow profile is actually hooked up, and I dig in a little bit deeper. So, hope that one helped. So let's see. All right. So Keith is in Scotland. That's awesome. We're international. All right. And then, how has the latest change regarding posting commission rates affected listings and sales? Did this complicate things? Oh my gosh. I'm going to talk to you about this, and you guys are going to be like, you're kidding. So I think commissions have actually gone up. I know. Can you guys believe it? I think the new law implemented has actually made commissions go up. It hasn't really made things more complicated. I mean, we can have like a snag here or there. But the reason it's made them go up, the reason it's made them go up is that we as agents can now talk more in terms of listing agent commission and buyer agent commission. And it's kind of confusing, but let me see if I can get into it a little bit. So I'll give you an easy example. In the North Shore Chicago market, in the higher priced homes, used to be out. It would be, you wouldn't know what the listing side was in the computer, but the buyer side would be tiered. And what tiered would mean is like they'd pay you 2.5% on the first million and 1.75 on the second million. And so that is less than 2.5% on the whole $2 million deal, let's say, or 1.5 or whatever it is. So in the higher priced homes, what's happening is that the buyers are now coming in with 2.5. Typically, they're coming in with a 2.5. They might come in with a 3% too on their side, and they're coming in without tiering it. And so the sellers are looking at it like, okay, well, it's 2.5. They're not thinking about tiering it. On the buyer's side, the buyer's agents are making a little bit more money on that. Now, I, though, have had a few sellers that are not paying out a buyer commission, or they got the offer and they decided they weren't going to pay out a buyer commission. So it can be, it's a little complicated depending on which agent that you're using and the listing agreement. So my listing agreement states how much the buyers or the sellers are going to pay me for listing their house right here. Now, I do not tell them that they need to decide how much they want to pay for the buyer side. So I can give you an example. I had a listing and I listed it on my side only. The buyers came in and he did not like their offer, and he used that as a negotiating strategy. And he said, I'm not paying the buyer's agent. And so he did not pay the buyer's agent. He was willing to let the deal fall, and the buyer ended up paying the buyer's agent. So, and I don't know what that buyer's agent got, but that's the point. And so there's a little bit more flexibility, but so I suppose he paid less, but all in all, I'm seeing that the way a lot of brokerages are now structuring this is they're setting a fixed listing price, because now you don't say your listing is 5% or 6%, you're saying your listing's 3% when you used to get 2.5%. I know it's very complicated. I didn't really answer that very well. Yeah, yikes. Because I do think agents are making a little bit more, depending. Now, the other thing I want to mention is a lot of buyers and sellers don't actually, I know I'm going to say this, I know people are going to be like, are you kidding me? A lot of buyers and sellers don't actually care how much they're paying. I mean, they do care, but if it's, tiered versus 2.5%, some of them just are not caring. They just want the deal done. And if it's a good offer, they're willing just to say, fine, that's fine. We don't care. So, it's just something to really think about. I know that was long and complicated. Sorry. Yeah. Here you said, should I say ouch? Yeah. So you as sellers need to really understand what I'm teaching you here to be able to ask the questions. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, but that's really, really significant, is understanding the questions you need to ask. I believe totally you should be using an agent to sell your home, but I want you to be educated on that. So, all right, I'm going to be selling my home by owner without listing it. Do you recommend sending all local realtors a postcard with photos and offer 3% commission on the buyer's agent? Okay, so did you fill out my for sale by owner quiz? My for sale by owner quiz is going to show you if you should list it by owner, because there's a lot of things that go in there, and depending on your score, because if you do it wrong, you could be costing yourself a lot of money. So there's a lot in here again. So let's start with, first of all, offering a 3% commission to the buyer's agent. So when you enter your home into the MLS with a real estate agent, it's getting shot out to thousands and thousands of people. I mean, you will be able to get it everywhere. You really need to have your home shot out to as many people as possible. Okay. And if you're not, a postcard coming in is not really going to help, like two buyer's agents saying you're paying 3%. Because as a buyer's agent, unless I have a specific buyer looking specifically for that house, I'm not going to pay attention to it. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to look at that and I'm going to be like, oh, okay, 3%. Well, let me see. Who do I have for this? It's a lot of work. And then the buyer's agents don't, I'm going to say this, the buyer's agents don't always love working with sellers for sale by owner, because they ultimately have to work both sides of the transaction. With that said, you can sell by owner. Okay, you can, but I want you to add up how much money you are saving. Okay, because if you're paying a 3% out already, you're only saving 2.5% to 3%. Now I want you to take that and I want you to multiply it times your house. And that is the dollar amount that you are saving. So for example, postcards to all of those agents is going to be $1,000 easy, right? So if you're like, well, I'm selling by owner, I'm going to save, $2,000, $5,000 selling by owner, but then you're paying $1,000 for postcards. It's just, I want you to really look at what you're saving on that. A real estate attorney is not going to help you market the home. So an agent's role is to market the home. And did you watch my last video? Okay, so I did a video just basically on selling. I did a video on selling by owner, which nobody really wants to. Many people don't want to sell by owner. I know that. But it's got that quiz in there and it talks about it. So Okay, I live in a small town where there isn't enough housing for the growing population. Right, I understand that, but the issue is that you're not getting it out to everybody. So can you spend money on marketing? Sure, you can. If you're going to sell by owner and you take my quiz and you know what you're doing and you score like a 160 and up, definitely you probably could try it and do it. Like, but really want you to understand, are you saving the money or is it that you think you can do it better than agents? Because there's a lot of people who think that agents are just dumb and stupid. And there are some out there like that. But, I want you to really look at what is the money, what is the stress, and can you do it? So definitely take that quiz because and I did say it in there, if you're like 160 and up, if you're 180 and up, definitely you can sell by owner. But if you're 160 and up, it's difficult. If you're under 160, it could be a little hard. I know. I don't know if you've been watching me long. I'm pretty pretty honest and brutal. Sorry about that. I still think you need to get an agent in the house to recommend you a price on the house. Okay. All right. So again, here's the links here. If you guys want to download the seller's playbook, the Facebook group, or you need me to help you find an agent, here, if you cannot access those, you don't know how to do that, whatever, you can click in the links below and they're right there as well. So you can just go ahead and do that. It's all free resources. I really want to make sure that you guys are getting enough resources to understand how to navigate this process. So yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if you think you can do it, go for it. I definitely think some people can sell by owner for sure, because you don't think agents are dumb. Lots of people do. So you might be in the minority. So anyway, thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. And let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear. Okay. So I did just mention that about finding agents. Even if you're selling by owner or you're like not sure, you just want to test the market, it's always, always okay to find an agent. To have an agent come in and talk to you about your home and the pricing. It's better to be educated than not educated. And I know that many people don't want an agent in their home because they don't want to be sold. They don't want an agent pestering them. They don't want an agent who is all over them and making them feel like a salesy thing. If you get the right agent, that agent won't do that. But the other thing you should do is just get an agent in to get a feel for these updates that you're doing and the price of your home. But this is what I want you to do, okay? Especially if you're selling by owner, I want you to call the agent and say, I am going to be selling by owner. I would love to talk to you about getting an accurate price on my home. That agent will show up. That agent will show up. Okay. Now that agent might try and sell you, but you're just going to say, I'm going to try this by myself. Okay. Totally. Agents will do that. Absolutely. And if you're like a year out and you need some updates, they'll come over and talk to you about that as well. So there's the link there for finding an agent. We'll find you 2 to 3 agents in your town, the most experienced agents who sell in your area. And we go deep. I mean, we go deep and we do our research. And it's me, Lisa, my daughter, and Mia, and we're really digging in deep. And we know you personally. So like we've looked at your house, we know where you live. There was one town we just worked on that was really, really tough. I think we went through like 10 agents before we could find a good one. It was really, really hard. And then we finally found that agent. And then Lisa said, oh, we should just refer everybody in this town to that agent because she was so good when we finally got a hold of her. So a lot of agents didn't even return our calls. So that's the thing, is that we filter that out. We sort that out for you. Okay. Thank you, Globetrotting. Yay. I do really want to hear what's going on. Okay. Let me know. Okay. I need to know what type of front door to get. Ours is the originals 1960s door. So again, it goes back to the seller's playbook and the category that you're in. Are you restoration required? Are you, concealable condition? Are you modern move-in? What category are you? Because if you're one of the bottom 2 categories, it probably isn't going to matter. Okay. 1960s door is pretty old. So if you are in like a surface shine or an unpolished potential, I'd probably say, yeah, you need a new door. I would not make it super expensive. Doors are very, very expensive. I would make it kind of middle of the road. But that's absolutely a question that an agent can help you with and show you which one to use. Okay. Let's take a little drink here. Hold on a second. Again, this was in our Facebook group. And I was like, oh my gosh, this person has not been watching me for very long. What's wrong with listing my house a little high? Won't interested people just lowball me an offer? Okay, no. And if they do, you don't want to work with them because they're the most difficult people. Now, are there exceptions? Absolutely. Okay. But let me give you the psychology behind this. When you put your house on the market, and let's say you list your house at $500,000, and somebody writes you an offer in the first week for $400,000, are you going to take that? No, you're not. And every buyer and every agent knows you're not going to take 100,000 less than list the week you go on the market, right? So then by the time the home is on the market for, I don't know, 2 months, everybody knows your price is too high, but now you're still stuck at 500. But now everybody knows it's worth 400 and they know that you're being unreasonable because you won't reduce your price. So the other flip side of it is, let's say you're on the market, you list it at 500, you get a $400,000 offer. That buyer has some guts writing an offer in the first week. And those are the buyers who are usually pretty difficult, like when it comes to inspection and things like that. So people don't really lowball much unless a home has been on, like, let's say a home has been on a long time and I know my sellers maybe are priced high and they've told me, why won't somebody just write me an offer? What I might say to another agent is, bring me all offers. Let's get something on the table. I might say that, but in general, people don't lowball. So you need to be pricing your home pretty correct. Okay. I live in an HOA where I sit on the board. I would like an agent to talk to our board so that they understand that a 1990s HOA neighborhood with restrictions and no amenities, hurts home values. That is super interesting, Laura. That's great. I love that. So I am looking to be on my CDD board here in Florida. And that's actually one of the reasons why I want to be on it, because I think that keeping property values are extremely important. And I do believe that there are a lot of short-sightedness of, in HOAs, not raising fees when you need to, not keeping up and doing dumb things, like some board members might think it's dumb, but some, maybe planting flowers. And so it's a whole cost thing. So that's really interesting. If you email me, I can find you a good agent to come in and talk to your board in the HOA neighborhood. So it is true. If there are a lot of restrictions and no amenities, the values are going to go lower. Absolutely. So what people may be thinking is, well, we don't want to raise our, dues by $50 a month. Well, in the long run, you're not going to be able to sell your home for $30,000 more because you don't have this certain amenity that the place next to you has. So that's a great question, Laura. Recommendation of a local agent. Yeah, just shoot me an email. I've also got the contact Katie if you go into my description. I don't know if it's down below, but you can do that and just get a hold of me. If you download my seller's playbook, you can just respond to that email and I'll get it. And just let me know. And I'll just give you the name of somebody to talk to. That's a great idea. I love that. Okay. So let's do this one. Oh, I kind of thought this was a good commentary to talk about. My house listed today, and the photo is my house and my neighbor's house. So this was her first shot that she went on the MLS with. And the pictures were okay. I mean, the pictures weren't terrible. And you can't really avoid this, right? You can't really avoid having your neighbor's house there. And this whole house is full garage in the front, right? This is a very tough thing, but by posting this picture as the very first picture, you are going to get people who absolutely will not come to the house because of that picture, because it's immediately on top of that neighbor and it looks really, really tight. So in all the photos that you have online, you should never have a picture that documents, okay? You don't want to document anything. You want to make sure that every picture shows that you're bringing people into the home. So this is a very, very difficult situation here. I don't know if your MLS allows other outside shots, like if you have a pool or a backyard, but I would make sure that you put a different shot here in the front because this documents the house. And that's a hard house to shoot because if you go over to the right of that, and then you're just looking at the door and you take a tight shot of the door and the garage sort of, it's going to look like a townhome sort of. So this is where a really experienced agent can come in. So keep in mind, no documenting of a home. I don't want you to document rooms that look bad or things that are bad. Like if you have a picture that showcases something negative, like how close your home is next door to your house, that's got to go. You got to take it out because your goal is to get people into the home. So no just documenting. So probably needs to be cropped. Yeah, but then you're really all garage. So as you guys know, I got my degree in photography in college. I've shot like hundreds of thousands of pictures, but I literally cannot shoot like these types of pictures. So yeah, that's a inexperienced photographer. Maybe the quality was okay. I would say that the agent didn't really go deep on this because truly that really needs. I mean, because if you just crop it, you're going to have just the garage too. But maybe you could crop it here over to here. Can you see oh, you can't see my pointer. Let me see. You see my pointer? Yeah. Maybe you crop it here and then you crop it all the way over to here. So then you don't really center the house. It looks like the house is a little wider. But if you can imagine that, right? You can imagine that. You can see that that could work. Okay. All right. Yeah, that house is dwarfed by the double story next to it. Yeah. Shouldn't be in the street. Yeah. Okay. Now, also, I have had a photographer who has a pole. Sometimes it's called a pole shot, and they put it about 30 feet in the air, and then they kind of shoot down. I do love that angle. I think that helps a lot too. All right. How long did it take y'all to get your house ready to list? I mean, open house tomorrow ready. I know it depends on what needs doing. So here are major items, things for professionals: new roof, repair of a retaining wall, replace bathroom vanity, replace ceiling tiles, replace laundry room light fixture. Our work is to declutter, purge, and clean 25 years of living. Again, this goes into the should I question. Should I do all of these things? And it's hard to tell you unless I know what condition your home is in. So, your goal is really to be an unpolished potential or a modern move-in. That's your goal, living in your house for your life. Most likely, if it needs a new roof, the retaining wall, these aren't huge things. These are not huge things. So I'm going to say maybe you're like a surface shine. You need to do a few things. It's hard to say if you should do these, but we can talk more about it. But how long should it take? Realistically, 3 to 6 months if you're like, we're ready to sell. Okay. Like, let's say you're thinking about selling next spring. I want you on this now. I want you out there. I want you on it now. If you're reaching out to an agent a month before you go on the market, that's way too late. Like, you need at least 3 months before you decide to go on the market. Okay, that you need an agent in there at least, because that agent is going to tell you things about pricing, and updates. Now, ideally, you get your agent in a year early, because you don't want to spend money on major updates. Because I've walked into homes before and the people are like, oh yeah, I just replaced this countertop and I just redid all this concrete work. And I'm like, oh, well, you shouldn't have. And then they just threw $5,000 out the window. So, yeah. So I want to make sure that, I just saw this comment. I was like, hit the like button, people. Yeah, I like that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Are you in my Facebook group? All right. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I want you guys a year early, a year before you're thinking of moving. Okay. You can do 2 years early, but agents might not be as interested in coming to your house. We do refer once in a while. We had somebody reach out the other day and she's 8 years out, and we just gave her the name of an agent to talk to. That's pretty far, but usually an agent will just come over and have a nice conversation with you. Okay. So we are just about out of time. But remember, Seller's Playbook, Facebook group. And if you need me to find an agent, and I'm going to tell you something, this could be very exciting. Almost secured it. I'm going to have a guest on my live session, a guest. And you guys all would be very, very excited to know who I'm going to have on as my guest. I'll give you a little hint. It's a she, and she has said yes. We're just working on a time. So I will let you know. Anybody guess who that is? Anybody guess who it is? Lisa, you can't say anything. Yeah, Lisa, you can't say. My daughter says, exciting. Yes, that's Lisa. She helps me with my stuff. A couple last questions in here. What do you think of drone pictures? I like them. I think they're good. I think they're worthwhile doing. They used to be super expensive, and now they're more affordable. So I do like them. Oh, Lisa doesn't even know who it is. Okay. This was fun. Do more of these live sessions. I will do more. I'll probably be on again next week. And the following week would be when I have my special guest. What did you say? Lisa, tell me, and I'll tell you if you're right. That's funny. I like that. And wow, thanks, Katie. Seller's Playbook is great. People check it out. Well, that is an endorsement. So I'm here for you guys, really, truly. I know I'm an agent, and many people just think agents are all about the money, but I'm really here because I want to help you guys sell your home fast for more money, stress-free. And join my Facebook group, reach out to me, send me an email. I'm happy to help. All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. Take care. Oh, wait, hold on. Another agent, maybe another agent. Okay, that would be very good. That it's not Barbara, but that would be a great one. I wonder if I could meet her. Someone from HGTV? I don't know. You guys will like her. So anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you next time. Take care.